On August 8, 1942, Mahatma Gandhi stood before the Indian populace and delivered a startlingly radical ultimatum. He gave them 3 words: do or die. This phrase stands in sharp contrast to the reputation he had built over decades. Gandhi was a leader globally recognized for his immense patience and an absolute, uncompromising adherence to peaceful resistance. In the past, he had tightly controlled every aspect of his campaigns. 20 years prior, he had famously aborted an entire national movement the second it showed hints of violence, demanding total discipline from his followers. So, what specific pressures pushed him to abandon that gradual, deeply controlled approach for a desperate, uncompromising campaign? The Quit India movement emerged as the final mutation of a strategy 25 years in the making, the inevitable result of a long, calculated evolution of civil disobedience. This diagram maps the 25-year span of Gandhi's active political engagement in India from 1917 leading up to 1942. It reveals 3 distinct phases of escalating tactics. During this first phase, from 1917 to 1922, the strategy focused on localized, single-issue protests. Gandhi began by organizing indigo cultivators in Champaran in 1917, and then the peasants of Kheda in 1918, testing his methods on a small scale. These early, focused successes gave him the political momentum to launch the non-cooperation movement in 1920. This was his first mass-based national campaign, calling on citizens to boycott British institutions. But the strategy hit a catastrophic failure point. In February 1922, violence erupted at Chauri Chaura. In response, Gandhi called off the entire national movement, bringing the campaign to a dead halt. This failure exposed a critical flaw. Mass mobilization was clearly possible, but the populace was not yet disciplined enough to sustain a nationwide rebellion without resorting to violence. When Phase 2 began in 1930, the tactics evolved. Instead of passive non-cooperation, the movement shifted to active civil disobedience, the organized breaking of British laws. The prime example of this was the 1930 Dandi March, or Salt Satyagraha. Protesters defied the British monopoly by boiling seawater to make their own salt, challenging imperial authority. Civil disobedience put a heavy administrative and economic strain on the British government, yet it failed to achieve the ultimate goal of independence, resulting in a tense political stalemate. That stalemate was shattered by external pressures. With the outbreak of World War II in 1939 and the desperate arrival of the British Cripps mission in 1942, the geopolitical landscape fractured. The collapse of the Cripps negotiations proved to Gandhi that the British had no genuine intention of granting immediate independence, regardless of cooperation. With gradual tactics exhausted and a global war threatening India's borders, compromise was no longer an option. Gandhi's strategy was forced into its final, most radical phase. On August 8, 1942, the Quit India movement officially launched with that single, uncompromising mandate: do or die. British retaliation was swift and brutal. The very next day, August 9th, the colonial government arrested Gandhi, along with the entire prominent leadership of the Congress. Gandhi was completely removed from the board, kept in strict physical detention at the Aga Khan Palace near Pune until May of 1944. But despite this total decapitation of its leadership, the Quit India movement did not collapse the way the 1920 campaign did. The preceding decades of gradual escalation, localized actions, and rigid tactical training had prepared the ordinary masses to carry the mandate forward entirely on their own. The sheer scale and self-sustaining intensity of this final push proved to the British that holding the subcontinent was permanently untenable. The intensity of this decentralized campaign proved the training of the previous decades had taken hold. It convinced the British that their control was over, setting an inescapable path toward the formal independence that would arrive in 1947.